All right. Hey, hello, Kiera. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. All right. We want to thank everybody for joining us for our monthly financial wellness ministry conversation. We we're excited. We encourage everybody. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and now TikTok, if you're watching live on those platforms, please go ahead and join us. Join the conversation. Pinned to the top of the comments, you'll see a link to where you can come and join us on the Zoom platform. And we'll try to pay attention to what's going on in the comment section also, but you're welcome to join us on the Zoom platform. Again, we thank you so much for joining us. And now I'm going to place the coordinator of our financial wellness ministry, Kiera Hall. I'm going to place you in her hands.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining and welcome to the Greater Bethel Financial Wellness Ministry conversation. Today, we're going to be talking about how we spend money. And I have a video actually that we're going to watch. And we're just going to pause it and talk about the points and just really get a perspective of, you know, what's everybody thinking? What could be better? Do you agree with the video? Do you disagree with it? Just get some feedback, get some conversation going, and just moving us in the direction of having like the right type of thinking and the right mindset to really build wealth for our family. And what's got me like, I thought it was a really good video. So I'm looking forward just to talking about it and seeing what everybody else thinks about it. And I'm actually about to, let's see, switch devices so I could play the video. I was having an issue with my device for a second. Let's see. Daddy, do you think you could play the video? Because I'm having an issue. Okay. I joined from my phone because I don't know why I can't join from my computer.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then basically I just want to pause it after each point. So the video is like 13 minutes and he'll discuss like a particular point, and then I just want to, like, after he discusses the point, chat about it and then play the next point and kind of like pause it throughout it, as opposed to just completely playing the whole video nonstop all the way through.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started.
A bunch of cheapskates. They just think differently about what is worth buying and what is not worth buying. It's like how I would drop $1,000 on a family vacation, but I would never pay $1,000 on the newest smartphone. That's why in this video, I'm going to call out 6 things that most frugal people aren't wasting their money on. Number 1, fast fashion. This first purchase is pretty small, but could escalate into a bigger problem in the future, and that's why frugal people refuse to buy this. A lot of people will go out and buy clothing for a specific occasion, and they'll choose a trendy pattern or some kind of style that matches that occasion or maybe the trend that month. And it feels pretty harmless, right? Like, I remember buying a cheetah button-up shirt and wearing it out with some friends on a night out, but I ended up realizing I do not want to wear this shirt ever again, because by that point, I would just be known as the cheetah pattern shirt guy. And over time, that becomes a pattern for most people. They'll buy something that's trendy or some type of fast fashion, and they would wear it for a couple of occasions, but ultimately, it's not something that would last or be a long-term piece of clothing in their wardrobe. And let's be honest here, it's probably not your fault for buying this fast fashion. The clothing industry is really good at making different styles feel urgent or make you feel like you need some status by buying this piece of clothing, but then they're also really good at making your old clothes feel useless. These clothing companies aren't selling you durability nor quality. They're just selling you fast, trendy fashion. That's why most frugal people rarely buy fast fashion. For myself, I ended up just donating that cheetah pattern shirt because there is nothing more I could really do with that. And so a lot of people are either giving away clothes that they once thought was fashionable, or it's just building up and taking more space in their closet. People who are frugal are actually more likely to buy more expensive and quality clothing that could go with different different kinds of outfits that would last for a long time. Like, I love me a minimalist shirt like this that goes with all kinds of pants or jackets or whatever, and I know this is of a quality that'll last for years. Number 2, latest technology. I'm pretty sure it's every
So
year
we
that
can go ahead and stop after number 1.
reveal all the new phones and
Here you muted.
Oh, so the first point was just about fashion, fast fashion. And he was just talking about, spending money on, getting an outfit for an event, things like that, and kind of getting yourself in a situation where maybe you buy something and then you never really wear it again. And so you just, not really get much use or value out of your money. My comment on this is I realized that for me, the need to impress came out of being broken and feeling like I needed, like, attaching my value to other things and to other people, as opposed to just realizing that, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And then the more I realized who I was in Christ, the less I felt the need to try to impress other people. The less I cared about stuff like that. The more I could just show up, be me, enjoy myself and not feel like I had to, have the latest fashion or, the name brands. Like, I noticed the more confident, secure I was in myself, the less I cared about all those other things. So I want to hear just feedback and thoughts on that. And then, the other thing I was going to say is the people I noticed that have the most money, I don't really, well, a lot of people I know that make good money, they don't dress like that. Like, they don't show off all their money in the way that they dress. Like, a lot of them dress pretty just casually and comfortably. Does anybody else have any feedbacks or thoughts on that when it comes to frugality and, like, fast fashion?
Yeah, I think the fact that he called it fast fashion, because some people like really like to dress, and it's not necessarily something that I get into, but some people, it's some things that I get into that other people don't, and I think some people really just they enjoy dress and they enjoy fashion, but when he says fast fashion, something that's really just more trendy, something that you'll probably not even wear again. And so I think, just putting thought into it, what's the, is this something that I could really utilize? And so like when it comes to clothes and stuff like that, for me, I'm not going to go and buy another house to be able to have space, or I'm not going to go and build more closet. And so, when I'm thinking about purchasing clothes, I'm always thinking about my space. Michonne probably takes up, 20%. I mean, 80% of clothing space in the house. So I don't need that much. But I don't like my stuff to be tight. And so I'd rather have just a smaller number of clothes and stuff like that. And, I only have so many, spaces on my little hanging thing for shoes. And so it means more to me, than not be trying to find other places to put my stuff. Um, and so, um, and so I think when you start getting into trendy stuff, that's when you start, just building up a lot of excess that you might or might not need. But, I think a lot of people do enjoy clothing. But I think you just be smart about it. And, is this something that I'm going to really, wear again? Or is this something that I'm really just buying to throw away, cause probably not going to ever wear it again and you're going to run out of space after a while. But that's just, from my perspective.
Okay,
Okay,
sorry
sorry
about
about
that
that
delay.
delay.
I
I
only
only
got
got
my
my
device
device
to
to
switch
switch
over.
over.
So, but I did hear everything you said. So, yeah, I do agree. I guess the key word is like fast fashion, to where not necessarily anything wrong with having clothes, because I know some stuff, it might be more expensive up front, but then it lasts way longer too. And so like it's a good quality and you can have it for like forever because the quality is so good. So somebody might spend a lot more. Um and so yeah, I just thought that was really good. Does anybody else have any comments or feedback? And I'm trying to keep an eye on the Facebook post. But I think it's something to consider. Like I was talking to my daughter, she really wanted this Stanley Cup. And the Stanley Cup was like $65. And then I just got this new cup and she thinks my cup is super cute. And I have no idea what name brand is, but it looked just like the Stanley Cup, but it was like $7 from Aldi. And so I was talking to my daughter because she was gonna spend her money. And I was asking her, I was like, well, I was showing her some alternatives that weren't necessarily like that name brand, and asking her kind of like what was her goal for her cup, because I think Stanley cups keep your drink like hot for like all day or something like that. So I was asking her like what did she want to use it for, what type of drinks was she going to put in it, and pretty much for her it was just going to be water, just room temperature cold water. And so I was telling her, I was like, hey, you've lost cups. And even her Mimi was like, now you spent $65 on this cup and you leave it somewhere and lose it now. So she was talking to her too, just thinking about it. And my daughter was wanting it because her friends all have a Stanley Cup. And so I guess it's like this whole rave, like everybody wants a Stanley Cup. It's a popular thing. And but when we were on Amazon last night, she was shocked to see that there were like really cute cups that looked just like the Stanley Cup, but it wasn't a Stanley Cup. And then she even saw like all these accessories that you could get to fancy it up. And so she ended up deciding she would keep the cup she had, which basically it looks like a Stanley Cup. It just don't have that name on it. I had got it for her from Walmart. It's a nice stainless steel cup that keeps your drink temperatures or whatever. And she decided just to get some accessories. So I was really happy that she chose to spend $7 and just beautify the cup that she's had for like the last couple of years, as opposed to spending like $65 on a nice little cup to put her water in at practice at gymnastics. Um, and so I think that when we have like mindful habits like that and just like thoughtful and intentional about the way we spend our money, I think in the long run, we can start to see a benefit from it. And then on the other side, we can start to see hurt or harm when we have habits um, for spending money. Because the case could be that you have a lot of money, but you don't have much to show for it because you're like always spending it on something. And so, I think it's a positive thing to get into more frugal habits because you just never know what will happen. And so, if you have frugal habits and you're saving and being mindful of your money, I think you'll be in a situation where you're more prepared when worse comes to worse. Or if a catastrophe happens or things happen, you'll be more prepared. So we could go to the next point. Oh, actually, before we go to the next point, I volunteered with some high schoolers at the Hilton for this event, and it was the coolest thing ever. They had a like a simulation that was like the high schoolers were in the real world. They had real money. They had real bills, and um, a part of the simulation was that if they got into some financial trouble, myself and then another lady, we were both financial advisors, we would have to talk to them and help educate them. And so one of the high schoolers, he got a Pandora bracelet and some Jordans, but he didn't pay his rent or his car bill. So when he went to go pay the bills, the banker sent him and was like, you need to go talk to a financial advisor. And when I was talking to the young guy, he was like, look, this Pandora bracelet is a need. And I was like, I don't think you understand what needs are. I'm like, the food is a need and roof over your head is a need. Um, and so, he got himself in a situation where he didn't have enough money to pay for like food and rent because he got the Jordans and the Pandora bracelet and all this stuff and he had his budget, but he just spent it on the things that he wanted. And he was telling me, he was like, you know what? He was like, well, No, he didn't pay his rent, but he did have a car. He got a nice car. So he was like, well, I could just live in my car, and I could be iced out. And I was like, are you joking with me right now? Are you serious? He's like, no, I'm serious. He was like, I'd rather be iced out and live in my car than have a house and then not be iced out. And so I think it's really important for us as parents to like make sure that we're talking to our kids about this stuff, because they could be getting influenced by what they hear on the songs, the rappers, the singers being iced out, and like, they might be influenced by TikTok. And so I think it's super important that we get to have these conversations about money, what things actually cost, about life in the future with our kids, and even teaching them and training them to be frugal, because otherwise they could be influenced to, be iced out and live in a car, as opposed to, having their basic groceries and like a roof over their head. So I just want to throw that last point out too, because he was very serious. And I would imagine he is not the only person who thinks like that. That, there are many other people who never really had anybody talk to them and just help educate them and get their mindset right when it comes to like money and stuff. So yeah, we can go on with the video now.
Sure, it's every year that they put up some big conference to reveal all the new phones and tech. Maybe they're promising this update now has a slightly faster processor or a better quality camera, but let's be honest, all right? With the last few generations of phones you've been using, the camera quality probably hasn't changed that much. And just like the clothing industry, the tech industry probably does an even better job at making it feel like your old version of the phone or the laptop is now no longer usable. So frugal people always question the newest generation of technology. They're not the first movers or the early adopters that will buy the newest phone automatically. They're the kind of people who would sit back, look at what their phone currently does, see if they actually need the change or the upgrade, and then they'll make a more informed decision that's not based on impulse. Even for me personally, my phone is 3 to 4 generations behind, but it still gets all the same software updates, still has a great camera, and I'm not rushing to buy the next and newest generation. In fact, most frugal people will buy used, and once the newest version comes out, that pretty much means it's time to buy the old version. And I get it, this strategy does only work for so long, or your technology might actually break. So next time you consider buying a new piece of tech, remember, you don't have to go after the newest model. A lot of times, the moment a new model hits the shelves, the previous versions instantly become cheaper. So there's a discount for you, and they're gonna be just as functional as probably the newest model with very little difference. Number 3.
So what y'all think about number 2? I think that's a great idea. My only warning would be careful of the salespeople, because they will. This happened to me about 4 years ago. Is they'll talk you into, getting this upgrade, and then like the price at the end of it all does not equal the price that you thought it was going to be, and it's this little add-on, this costs that, and next thing you know, your phone bill is like way bigger than you like intended it for it to be, because they've kind of like, oh yeah, get this, get that, and this, and then you forget about all the taxes and fees. I actually just switched from AT&T to T-Mobile about a year ago and cut my bill down. I think we pay about $130 for 5 lines. But before I was paying almost $260 for like 4 lines, and it was because I basically accepted something new before I really realized the cost of it. Me and my husband both ended up getting like new phones. And for me, I was like, man, that really wasn't worth it. Like, we should have stayed on like the prepaid plan, or like he said, get a refurbished. So it was, I kind of learned that lesson the hard way. But yeah, I think my phone, like most of our phones, do what they need to do, and the new ones aren't really that big of a difference. What y'all think about the whole technology one, and how it gets people, maybe paying $30 a month for their phone or whatever, just to get the latest upgrade?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really into technology, but I guess he called it frugal or called cheaper. So you want something that really does what you wanted to do, but you just want to make sure that that you're doing your own homework. And so, like for myself, I don't even know what like number iPhone they're on, but I know like when I go and mentor at schools, the children have a more updated children without jobs have a more updated iPhone than I do. I think I have like a 12, and I'm not sure what the number is now. Um, but just personally, I just choose what I want. So even though I'm serious about technology, my 12 works real good for me. But like when I deal with the church with the live streaming and stuff like that and the software I use, yeah, I am gonna pay money for that because I understand that this is bigger than personal. This is a part of ministry, and so we want to make sure you're competing against all types of other things that pop up on people's feed. And so you want to make sure that you have great quality. And so even though I'm a big fan of technology, when it comes to my own personal stuff, I just make sure it's what I need. It gets the job done accurately. But for more important things like ministry, I will spend that money for ministry's sake because it's how we present ministry, and so I guess I'm not really putting myself, I'm not presenting myself on what my phone is. I'm not trying to I just, ministry, I deal with ministry different than I do personal purchases.
That makes sense. I guess I think about business a little bit more as well, than personal. And I was doing some math. I was looking, I was like, okay, if someone like constantly upgrades the phone, right? And they're like, yeah, it's just $30 a month, I'll just get that. And so that $30 a month, like if a young person did that, let's say they're 18, by the time they are 48, if they say, well, you know what, how about I invest that $30 a month instead of putting it into a phone, they would have $84,000. So when you start thinking about it in that way, like, oh, that's $30 a month I could save if I were to invest that. That's $84,000. Like that actually makes a big difference. Little things just keep adding up here and there. And then it's like, okay, the phone's 30. Oh, somebody adds on a watch. That might be another $15. A smart watch, and you finance things, like finance the earbuds. Y'all pray for me because I got some earbuds about 5 years ago and they're not cheap, but they are lost. And I'm like I might just have to go with some cheap little cordless ones. But I'm like, where are my headphones? Because I do not want to buy another pair because those things is like $200, but they're really good. Um, so yeah, I do love the technology, but is I'm gonna keep my phone until it don't work no more. Then I will upgrade. But what I found to be super helpful is upgrading to the refurbished option. You save a lot of money, or getting some type of like special where you can get a phone potentially for free. I mean, you might have to stay with that provider for 2 years, but you don't have to pay like any extra for the phone. And if you're okay with staying for the same provider, sometimes you can get a deal like that and just being mindful and intentional. I know at my daughters, they both got free phones, and the people are trying to convince me to get them iPhones, but I think the iPhones cost like $12 a month for the iPhones that they were gonna get, and I was like, no, I'm not paying the extra $24 a month. Like they will be just fine with these free phones that come with the plan. So
Even
that's
though I
my
talk
thought on
like
it.
that, even though I talk like that about technology, and I'm really into technology, and for personal, I don't really get into it personally. I'll spend it on the church and stuff like that. But now that's technology. But now with tools, I'm not gonna buy cheap tools. And so I think it's really based on the value. So with tools, um, I'm not gonna go buy some cheap brand of tools. I'm gonna get you know I'm gonna get a nice drill. I'm gonna get something that I know is good quality, and so I think a lot of it is just really personal. What do you place a lot of value in? And so it would seem because I'm so into technology that I would spend a lot of money on technology, but I really only spend a lot of money on technology when it costs. Because I'll probably end up doing the same thing on a tool. And I think it's really just on really understanding what's priority to you and then understanding your financial situation and what's the best choice for you. But different people value different things.
You know what? That I definitely agree with that. And then, one of the things that I think about when it comes to tools is because I know, like, so for me and Cody bought like this stainless steel set of pots and pans, and we bought it in 2012, and we still use that same set. And so I do think, you know, it's not just saying like, the whole goal of this isn't necessarily like, oh, just be cheap, but it's to be mindful, be intentional, and then ask yourself like, is it really worth it? I could imagine if somebody is a business owner, that for them it could potentially be worth it because that phone payment could be a write-off, tax write-off, and they might, need some write-offs. So yeah, I would say the goal in this is just mindful, and then not keeping up with the Joneses and just being intentional, like realizing what your financial situation is, and seeing what really matters. I remember a year ago, me and my husband, well, maybe it's been longer than a year, but we did this thing where we just cut everything, like bare minimum, our spending to like the lowest of lows. Started cutting out everything, tracking all spending, and just being like really intentional. And in that time, we were shocked at how comfortable we were able to be without so much of the stuff that we thought we needed to like spend money on. And then after we were finished like cutting everything out, we actually kept a lot of stuff off and realized like, oh, we don't even need to spend money on this, you know? And so I forget what you call it, but getting those expenses as low as possible really gets you in like a much better situation financially. Like that's what you call living below your means. And so if you can get that monthly spend as low as possible, and start working towards like debt freedom, savings, and just like the less responsibility you have bill wise will really put you in a position where you can have a lot more flexibility and control and like a lot less stressful situation.
And it's easy to spend. It's easy to spend money. I mean, money is so easy to spend. You can click and purchase an app and just not even pay attention to the fact that it's you're making a monthly payment or annual renewal. And so you just really have to get in the habit as you use all this technology, to go and check and see, see what's automatic renewals on your phone, and check all that stuff and really pay attention to what's going on because they make it real easy, extremely easy, to spend money. And so you really have to pay attention to, that $30 that's coming out here, $18 that's coming out here, $25 coming out here. You got to really kind of follow up on that stuff and see what you're spending money on because you could be spending, extra $300 a month on stuff that you didn't even realize you were spending money on because it's so easy to spend money. They make it real easy.
They do make it easy. One of my kids had my tablet and spent $4.99 on Roblox, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get my little $4.99 back. Like, how did they spend $4.99? It was Jay. I'm like, how did he even do that? Like, I have to put some type of protection. I got an email, took my tablet back immediately. I'm like, oh Lord, he don't even know what he bought. I don't know what he bought. Had to email Google Play Store. I got to put some protections on my wallet on my tablet because my phone has it, but it's real easy to spend money.
Yeah, real easy.
Yeah, we can watch point number 3 now.
Seasonal decor. Do you know an easy way to figure out what the next holiday is? Well, just go to your nearest grocery store and it will suddenly be filled up with pumpkins in September, snowmen in November, and Valentine's Day hearts by January. The way these decorations are merchandised so early on in the season is for a reason, and it's designed to pull on your emotions and make you want your home to feel in season. But most frugal people skip out on the endless holiday cycle, or they just reuse the same seasonal decorations from last year as what they're going to use again this year. But here's what happens to most people. You'll buy the artificial flowers as soon as it gets warm in the spring, you'll get the decorative pumpkins in the fall, and you'll get the holiday lights and decor in the winter. And then you box them up hoping you're going to use them again next year, but then social media happens and you see these influencers break out their new refreshed holiday decor, and now suddenly your old decor from last year is no longer fitting the aesthetic. And that's why frugal people don't fall for this. They actually reuse their decor and they don't get stuck in the endless loop of buying, storing, forgetting, and then rebuying new decor every year. It helps to keep an inventory of the decorations you already have. Like at the start of the new season, bring out the items you previously bought instead of purchasing new ones. And a way you can do that is by making sure you label your stored up decor, all right? Make it easy to get to, avoid the chaotic clutter, and then you won't feel the need to have to go and buy new decorations every year. And did you notice how I'm not telling you to just avoid buying decorations in general? No, your life is supposed to be bright, and you can brighten up your home with some lovely aesthetic decorations, but just be intentional and choose things that you know you could actually reuse. Number 4, single-use products. This one feels innocent,
Yeah.
small.
So number 3, I got my little box at the house with my decorations and stuff inside of them. We pull it right back out, and it's just as exciting every year. So, I learned that from my dad. He, go and get them plastic Tupperware containers and pull them out and be ready to go every year. Does anybody else save decorations and are always ready with their decorations?
This is a big deal in our family, I come from a family that loves to do a different theme every year for the holidays, and that gets very expensive. So when Dylan was born, I decided to invest in a Disney theme Christmas tree. But that was it. That was the last year. I have used it every year ever since. I'm so proud of myself. I am not shining those. So hope, he better be happy with the Disney theme for years to come. Probably get passed on to the grandchildren because it was so much money. Like, I can tell you, my sister puts up like 5 different Christmas trees in her house. And, it's all fine. I guess the recurring theme in this conversation is that, okay, it's fine that you would like to do those things, but you really have to think about, one, can you really afford it? Can you, staying strapped for cash because you want to do these things that don't really go with your financial situation, and what is really the point? What is the intention? What are you getting out of it? What is the reward for going out of your way, spending money on these things, money that you don't have, on these things that don't really matter that much at the end of the day. So it's really a mindset. Like you really have to dig deep and stop trying to conform to all these expectations that are outside of our reach, because the game is rigged. We're always going to be struggling and not really working towards that financial freedom that we need, and being just being stable and being able to covered our basic necessities and still, you know, and still enjoy ourselves. And so it's hard, but we have to. I think we need to just build the mindset, just educate ourselves and start with our families, so they can you know, what's the word I'm looking for? So they can then pass it on to their families, so that just, you know, be mindful about why, you know, think about why you're spending the money, and is it really that important? And, you know, why do you need 5 different Christmas trees in your house? Sorry. Just, you know, so think of a theme that can be timeless and stick with it, and, you know, reuse them every year. There are only certain things that need to be replaced. And of course, we're talking right now about Christmas trees, but that goes with everything. You know, clothes, the phones, the tools. Yeah.
Yep. That's the key. It's just mindfulness. Like, can you really afford it? You know, and I think, you know, between social media and just, I feel like social media makes it worse because you like, so I will say I love beautiful things. And so I have to be careful, um because I will see like a social media video of somebody cooking with like the most like just all this stuff is so beautiful. I'm like, oh, I want that. And I'm like looking it up, like, oh. And there's so many different gadgets and stuff, and they're so pretty. Like, I've been seeing the electric salt and pepper grinders, and I'm like, no, I don't need it. I'm good. I'm good with my little, you know, glass salt and pepper grinder. I don't need to go pay 20 something. At least not right now, not at this season of my life where I'm at. And I think that's the most important part. That there's nothing wrong with nice things. There's nothing wrong with buying these things. But it's like, look at yourself, look at your goals. Where do you want to go? And is it worth it? Like, is it going to help you get where you want to go? Is it taking away from where you want to go? Is it slowing you down? Like, can you really get it? Like, I think it's crazy work to maybe have, you know, name brand clothes, the latest phones, all these decorations, but then like no life insurance. And it's like, God forbid if something happened to you, it's like, man, like your everything looked good, but now your family's struggling and they're setting up a GoFundMe, and it was like priorities were wrong. Or it's like to live in this way that keeps up with the Joneses, and then by the time you get ready for retirement, you're not ready. And so I don't think it's anything wrong. Like, if you got it, it's not wrong with you getting what you want. But it's when you put today over tomorrow, and then like never prepare for tomorrow, because everything's just about, this is what I want today. I'm gonna get what I want today, and I'm just gonna enjoy life. You know, you only live once. You know, I feel like that's the type of mindset where it's like, ooh, that's a little risky, because when tomorrow comes, now you're putting a burden on your children, on your grandchildren, potentially to now have to like make up and provide for things that you could have provided for. You know, you just put family in a tougher spot when you only think about today as opposed to like being intentional. Um, and I've seen both sides. I've seen people who prepare for tomorrow and like things are so much smoother. Things are taken care of. Their family don't have to like stress and figure stuff out. Like with my aunt, she thought about tomorrow. But then I've seen other people where it's like they just weren't prepared. And so now things are unnecessarily hard. And it's like they could have been prepared, but the money was just allocated into other areas that So it's like, how are we building our house? Are we focusing on fun first, or are we focusing on financial responsibilities first? And I definitely think we should focus on responsibilities first, and then have fun.
Right.
So I guess we can see what the next point is.
Aesthetic decorations, but just be intentional and choose things that you know you could actually reuse. Number 4, single-use products. This one feels innocent, small, and harmless, and it might feel a little extreme for most people. But it could be one of the most consistent ways people overspend without realizing it until you look at your garbage bin. And yeah, I'm gonna call out some of the most popular products that people use every day, like paper towels and paper plates, or disinfectant wipes and mopping pads. There's a lot out there. And that's exactly one of the reasons why single-use items could be a small leak in your budget. It's like if you start using paper towels regularly, you basically signed yourself up for a subscription to paper towels every month that you need to renew. And realistically, I'm not throwing out every single one of my single-use items. Sometimes it just has to do with sanitation, that you just use one item once and toss it away. But for a lot of frugal people, they'll see where in their life they can choose to use reusable items. Ultimately, it's up to you to use your best judgment. For example, if there's a dinner party coming up and there's only 2 or 3 extra guests, maybe you don't have to break out the paper plates, the plastic utensils, and you can just use your typical dishes and your metal spoons and forks that you can wash and reuse again. Or if you're a person that doesn't want to just fill up your trash can with paper towels that you're always using every day, you instead could get a reusable cloth that you would just wash every few days or at the end of the week. But frugal people usually stop and think, how can I avoid paying to solve the same problem over and over again? They usually like to solve a problem once and then save every time after. So next time you pick up something you know you'll toss out within a few minutes, ask yourself, is this actually helping me, or is it just giving me a shortcut I'll have to keep buying forever? Number 5, wasted energy.
I definitely want to pause up to that one. I have some reusable cloths and I love them. They're kind of like a paper towel substitutes. Those things are the bomb.com, and they rinse out and dry out really fast. So I love them. It is super helpful. But one thing I will say is this week I did go to the store and buy a stack of paper plates that had like 70 plates in it. And I bought some plastic spoons. And I told my husband, I said, this will give us a break for about a week on dishes.
One to the dishes, yeah.
So, I do like the reusable stuff too, especially, if you got craziness at your house and lots of kids and a busy life. You weigh it out. But I do like the idea of being mindful. I actually just told my husband I don't want to buy sponges anymore, and let's just stick with the washcloths, because I was constantly buying new sponges, and then I had to buy them kind of often because some of my kids, I don't know who was doing it, but they would go through and tear up everybody's sponges, and so then I was like, we're just gonna use washcloths and we're gonna wash them things. But I do like the mindfulness of it and just seeing where can I cut money. These are good ideas. If you ever find yourself in a bind, you'll really start to learn what you can do without. And then when you get out of that bind, you might want to keep some of those frugal habits to keep more of your money, instead of, throwing it in the trash. What are y'all thoughts on this?
Yeah, it sounds good, but that ain't one I'm not gonna adopt that right there. But it sound it make all the sense in the world. But sometimes in life you say, well, this area right here, I'm gonna be on the non frugal side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is definitely harder for for the dishes and stuff. So yeah.
But some people take it to the extreme, it's funny because as I'm listening, all these stories are coming up, we had an uncle that had that would buy paper towels, clearly one-time use, and he would put them up, and hang them up, and he would use them like he would wipe his hands, which is already disgusting, right? And then leave it there to dry so he could use it again. No, it's, the point is to be conscious about what you're spending money on, not to go to the extreme. Okay. For that reason, he should have just used, a regular towel and then just washed it off. So sometimes the message kind of gets crossed. People are just too much. But it's hard. It's hard with like Pastor said, with some things you just can't just do without. So
Yeah, some people do take it. I seen this one show, I think it's Darman, and it was like this I can't I'm trying to remember. It was a boy. He was so embarrassed because his mom was like the most frugal mom ever. And the crazy thing is she had so much money. But it was like everything was like she would reuse everything. Even stuff it's like, seriously, mom, like you're gonna like wash and reuse this plastic straw. Like,
right.
we can't even get this new thing. Like she was super frugal. It was like instead of buying a birthday cake, she was gonna bake one, and and she didn't care about the aesthetics like at all. And then her son, he was like so frustrated. And then he learned like this middle ground because he ended up running away from home, living with his uncle, who is the exact opposite, like just spend, spend, spend. But then the interesting part of it all was with his uncle, it was all about money, but there wasn't any love in the home. Everything was fake. His uncle even had like this young girlfriend who just used all his money, didn't really care about him, just cared about the money. But then he left his mom because he was so frustrated with frugal, and he realized with his mom, like, man, there's so much love here. And she's taking the time and she really cares. But it was like really extreme. And so his mom ended up kind of learning, like, okay, maybe I could be a little less frugal. And then the son ended up appreciating, like, you know what, my mom loves me. Like, let me not be so hard on my mom. She's trying to save money. And they came to like a nice little middle ground. That's like a little side topic. But I do think you can go too far, I do think, and make life a little weird or nasty or, just interesting. I think this was a TV show. The lady, she had a house, but she didn't hardly have no furniture in it. And they kept like plastic on everything so nothing could ever get messed up. And they were really frugal. Like they wouldn't run the water. They just had a bucket of water that everybody kind of reused for a while. It was kind of gross. It was like, hold up now. Hold up. Run the water. Like everybody get a fresh bath. Everybody should not be, the whole family used the one bath that was on the TV show. And I was like, I think that might be a little too frugal. I mean, if you don't have it, that's another scenario, but that wasn't the case for them. She had it, but she was just trying to be extra frugal. So they shared the bath water, shared everything. And I was like, ooh. So yeah. But we can watch the next point.
I'll have to keep buying forever. Number 5, wasted energy. I'm not talking about wasted energy in terms of your body and your ATP. I'm talking about wasted energy in your home and especially with all your electric products. This one could be a sneaky one, and it's probably adding more to your monthly bill without you even realizing it. And most people don't even think about it. You set the thermostat once and then forget it. But that quiet hum of your heater or your AC, it's slowly burning through your wallet in the background. Most frugal people don't ignore expenses like utilities. They know that heating and cooling account for over 50% of the energy use in the American home, making it the single biggest utility expense for most people. That's why even a 1 to 2 degree adjustment can make a massive difference on your electric bill. And I'm not going to request for you to start living in discomfort. It's just about optimizing what you're already doing. Like, that's how I grew up. My parents were on the extreme side of frugal, where they wouldn't ever use the heater in the home. Like when it was cold, they just call that our free AC, and it was up to us to just bundle up. As I said before, frugal people are just more intentional about how they're spending money. They'll treat energy more like a currency, and they'll spend it when it's time to spend it. Maybe it's at night and you need some cooler air in order to sleep well. And then when you're out of the home, they'll not turn up the AC as high and they'll just let it sit a little warm in the home or apartment. Wasted energy also comes in different forms too. Outside of just the AC and the heating of your home and the air, it can also be in your dishwasher or in your laundry, because honestly, there's a ton of energy being used in order to heat up the water for your laundry if you crank that thing up to hot. And there's still a lot of energy being used when the heat is applied to the water in your dishwasher. So next time you decide to turn up the AC or turn up the temperature in your laundry machine, make sure to ask yourself, is this something that I actually need and will improve the quality of my life right now? Or is it something I could hold off on in the name of saving more money? Number 6, name brand food.
So let's pause there. This is probably the area I do the worst in. We do so much loads of laundry and I run almost everything on hot. But a couple tips I did learn. There was this organization, I forget what the name of it was, but their whole goal was like to help you save energy in your home. And a couple things that I learned from the organization, we changed our shower heads to a shower head that was like more efficient in water use. I didn't notice any difference in my shower, but supposedly like that shower head was more efficient. And then we also changed all our light bulbs to like more energy efficient light bulbs. So that was just a little shift that we made to save energy in our home. That was really the only shift. Does anybody else have energy saving tips, or kind of what's your thoughts on this? Because for me, I'm gonna run the heat when it get cold, and I'm gonna run the AC if I'm hot. I'm not about to be sitting in the house uncomfortable in the name of saving money. Now one thing though I have, Cody kind of got me about, because I would turn the heat on quick, is before I go to turn on the heat, I will at least put on a robe and some socks. And then if I'm still cold, then I'm like, oh, I think we need to turn the heat on. But I am a little bit more intentional to dress a little warmer before turning up the heat. What are y'all thoughts on this frugality when it comes to our home energy?
And a lot of it depends on how you were raised also. So, I find myself doing the same thing, that my parents and grandparents did to me. And so my grands, for some strange reason, they just don't like to close the door when they come out of when they go into the garage to come outside. And so, and I'm normally sitting out there at the end of the driveway. And so I guess I must be known for yelling, close the door, because Jay, one day he was inside with my other daughter, Alana, and Jay told Alana that Papa gets real mad when we don't close the door. And so that's what he kind of know me for, is yelling, close the door. Because when I was raised, they, say, well, you trying to cool off the outside, and so a lot of it has to do with how you were raised, with how you do energy efficiency and things like that right there, because we didn't have a whole lot coming up, and so they weren't trying to cool off the outside. They were trying to keep that hair inside. And so even like with church, sometimes you see the ushers had got a funeral or something going on, and we got separate units, but I be expecting to close them doors, and the foyer take care of itself. Don't use the AC for the sanctuary to cool off the foyer. And but I think it just has a lot to do with, that's just how my parents and grandparents were. But I'm not crazy about it though. When it's time to use it or time not to use it, I'm gonna use it. But I don't like to waste it.
Yeah, in my house, unfortunately, everybody be running that water like it's free. I'm like, the sink water's on. Who's using the sink water? Who left it on? Or the whole time brushing the teeth, the water's on. Or the water's on in the shower way before you get in the shower, even though it don't take that long to heat up. So that's an area we could do better at. But I'm constantly saying, turn the water off. Do you need the water on? Are you using it right now? Turn the water off. You're wasting the water. So that's a big area in our house that we definitely need to improve on. Is that water just running for no reason?
Yeah, it's the same for us. We also come from, very humble homes, beginnings, and so for a while we had to come to terms with the fact that the AC is actually a necessity here in Florida. There was a time when we were, struggling financially, and had just moved here to Gainesville. And one thing, that your bill, will really eat up through your money. It's so expensive, and I don't know who gave my husband the idea that, you can just turn off the AC while nobody's there, and then put it back on when you get home. Well, that was not a great idea at all. Mold can start building up really quickly in your homes. You're not supposed to turn off your AC. So it was a constant battle that year where, I was trying to, my idea was just keep it, don't turn it completely off. Keep it at whatever, 80, 85, and then turn it down before we go to sleep so we can sleep comfortable. And try to see if there's even any savings on our bill. And the savings were, first of all, the savings was not even that much to justify what we were going through. Was so hard. It was still so hard. And then what was happening is that the AC was working overtime to try to cool off. So it was never cool enough. You were never really comfortable at night either. And so we learned the hard way that there are certain things that you really cannot save money on. And the AC is one of them, I think, here in Florida. And again, it kind of goes to us just being, we have to budget ourselves. We have to realize that, first of all, that was a necessity. We needed to be on and that because we live here in the city of Gainesville and it's so expensive. We have to make it part of our budget. We just needed to come to terms with that and figure out how we were going to cut expenses somewhere else.
Yeah, that is so true. We had somebody come over our house. I forget who it was, but basically what they told us was that we needed to keep our AC low so that with the mold. And so like we clean it and we're like, man, why does it keep coming back? And they basically are like, you need to keep your AC low, like your temperature. Because I personally get cold easy. And so I know Cody was real happy when the professional told us we had to keep our AC low. So now we keep it on 74. But before, I would totally fine with it being on 78. Like I heat all day, every day, but I didn't want the AC. But we couldn't do that because of the mold. And now I noticed such a big difference with keeping that AC low and not. And our fruit lasts longer too. That like sits out on the counters and stuff. So everything just,
Yes.
So we can go ahead and watch the rest of the video because it's like 2 minutes left, and then we can close out our frugality chat.
Hold off on in the name of saving more money. Number 6, name brand food. Many frugal families don't spend extra on name brand groceries when the store brand version is often just as good. You've probably heard this over the internet a lot of times, but it's literally the same exact product just with a different label, and that's it. Many big food manufacturers actually package both the name brand and generic brand at the same factory. So if you think of your favorite chips, cereal, and soda, if you're like many people, they automatically go towards the name brand versions because that's what's recognizable. But if you're frugal, how about you consider the generic store brand as an alternative? For me personally, I even started doing this with my personal products. I remember I had this face moisturizer, and if you guys know about lotion for your face, it is way more expensive than lotion for your body. And I would always stick with this one name brand. I don't know, I just felt like it was better quality And I was pretty sure of it, and I don't know, they just psychologically got me to think that. It wasn't until I decided to experiment and use the generic version right next to it to moisturize my face. And it ended up having the same exact results, except it was literally 40% cheaper. So I decided now on, I'm gonna use the generic version. And most frugal people are willing to experiment, and they've built a habit out of deciding on name brand versus generic brand, and they've probably dialed in knowing which generic brands are actually up to par with the quality of the name brand. So don't let that fancy packaging and marketing take advantage of your wallet. You could find more room in your grocery and personal item budget by changing to generic brands, and then you can use the difference to start working towards your other financial goals, like maybe building your emergency fund or paying off that credit card debt. I know 6 things is a pretty limited list. I know there's a ton more ways you can save money by cutting out small unnecessary expenses, but frugal people start somewhere. If there's one thing that stuck out to you in this video, make sure to just write that down, and maybe it's just considering to use generic brands for some of your groceries. But by starting with these small changes, it can make a huge difference in your journey to financial independence. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and then subscribe if you want similar videos like this. And of course, make sure you watch this video where I talk about the money lessons that school is hiding from you. Give it a click and I'll see you guys over there.
So that is the end of our video. I think those are some really good, just things to consider. I hope that as people watch this, that we would be less likely to be manipulated by, propaganda, by commercials, different things like that try to manipulate us to think something's better and get us to spend our money. And I pray that we would be more in control of how we spend our money and just more thoughtful, and that we would use our money to help us towards our financial goals as opposed to making rich companies even richer. Does anybody have any last thoughts that you want to share on maybe what stood out to you, or any tips that stood out that you might be a little bit more intentional about, or maybe any ideas to help you save any money? Did anybody think of anything?
I think it was a good conversation, and I guess that if there's one that I would try that I don't do right now, it might be the name brand one, because I do buy the name brand foods and stuff like that, and so I might look at that and see what that looks like. But I think it's always good to think for yourself and not allow other people to think for you. And so I think just in this right here, just being encouraged to think for yourself, and not necessarily, swallow everything somebody tries to feed you, I think is always a good thing.
Yeah, I love it. And I can attest, I remember the name brand foods, that would be me and Cody's debate. Cody's like, no, it ain't the same. You got to go with the name brand. But I bought some not name brand spaghetti sauce, and Cody thought the spaghetti was good, so now he more open. He's like, okay, this wasn't that bad. And then what else did I buy that wasn't name brand? So Cody used to love Cinnamon Toast Crunch, so I bought some off-brand Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and he thought it was actually pretty good. Like, he was shocked. And so you'd be surprised. I love Aldi brand. I love Aldi brand. Even with my sparkling water, there was another brand. I forget what the name of it was, but I guess it's the more popular brand. But it costs like $2 more, and it was 4 cans less in it. And so I was real happy to get my Aldi brand sparkling water for for cheaper, because I do not taste any difference in the fancy sparkling water versus like the Aldi brand sparkling water. They're both good. So, yeah. So, if anybody doesn't have any more remarks, does anybody have any more remarks before I say my final piece?
I think this was very good. I think maybe a good takeaway that we need to plan ahead, for everything. Even when, like you mentioned your sparkling water, this is like, we are hooked on that stuff in our house for the past couple of months. but we try to always look for the, when it's buy one get one free and stuff like that. So, and the same goes for everything else. Yeah, just try to, you know, be mindful, plan ahead. If you really, really want to spend money on that one thing, just at least look for the best price possible. Be patient, wait until it goes on sale, so you can actually start saving for the things that actually really matter.
Yes. Look, Ivana told me that she loves sparkling water so much she was like always getting it that John went and got their family. They have like a sparkling water machine.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, I want a sparkling water machine because I'm just now. It's actually, I don't know if John know this, but it was his son who went and grabbed the sparkling water and started drinking it that made me say, well, let me try the sparkling water. And after I seen his son drinking it, I started drinking it. I was like, oh, this is actually good. And that became my soda substitute. Like, I love sparkling water now. Sometimes I put maybe a little bit of apple juice in it or some lemon juice or something. And it's so good. It's like my healthy soda. But yeah, it's just little transitions like that, and realizing like, you know what, I do this a lot. Maybe I might, maybe I can save some money. I know I used to love to buy herbs, and herbs are very expensive. Like it adds up. And so now I just have it in my garden. And now like anytime I want my herbs, my kids go outside and they just cut me a couple pieces and I feel really excited because I'm like, man, this is so cool. Instead of spending, $4 on a little plastic thing of mints, just cut it off and it just keeps going. It keeps going. Like I don't have to buy it no more. And so that having my thyme and my rosemary and my mint and oregano and all my little herbs outside, just growing, that definitely has saved me some money.
Awesome.
Just being able to go and cut some from a little garden. So yeah, let's take control and not allow the media or commercials to control us. And just take back our buying power and see ways that we can save money and put it towards things that help us reach our financial goals. So thanks everybody for joining our financial wellness talk on Frugality.
All right. You all have a great one, and we'll see you soon. Blessing.
Thank you.